Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we talk about 2 or 3 interesting tech topics in the news. You know, I never stick to only 3. And we'll get you on your way in about 20 minutes. And I know everybody out there should be able to guess what our lead story is today. But before we get to that, if you've got a story you want us to feature, creationstation@broward.org comes right to me. And today, Kristen from Sunrise is leading us off for Women's History Month is March, and Creation Station Month is March. And yes, I do know what today's date is. However, we have so many cool people to share that I wanted to start it off early. How are you doing, Kristen?
Oh, is that the excuse? I just thought you forgot what month it was.
Nah. At least I don't think I did. There's only, 30 more days? Nah. I gave up book buying on February 30th and 31st.
Okay.
So what's going on out there at Sunrise?
Oh, gosh. Well, we have our Creation Station gaming and art is going well. And we're planning our summer like everybody else. And honestly, I don't know because I've been out like the past week for home improvements. So.
See, creative. There we go. Yes. This is how you get these cool things.
Yes, I'll send you my before and afters of my new bathroom.
Oh yeah. Maybe we'll do plumbing one month, huh? We'll put that up and see what we can come up with, or home renovations as a creative topic. Maybe I should follow up on that. But speaking of renovations and new places, stretching a segue, we have the big story for today is the U.S., the United States, is in theory about to land a new spacecraft on the moon for the first time since Apollo left the moon. It is going to happen at 5:30 Eastern time, so about an hour and a half from now, from when we're recording. Do you remember any of the other moon landing stuff, Kristen?
Nope.
I was a little kid sitting in front of the TV watching Apollo land.
Well, when was that?
In the 60s. The late 60s, early 70s. Depending upon which mission we're talking about. It was 69 and onwards. But
let's see,
I remember being told, remember this, and obviously I did. So there's a couple of stories that I want people to go out and read these articles as you're hearing about this news today, because Intuitive Machines did make it to the moon. You may remember a couple of weeks ago, another private company tried to make it to the moon, and they
crashed and burned.
They burned up in the atmosphere because their tank exploded. One of their propellant tanks exploded once they did separation, so they had to bring it back. That was Peregrine. So this one here, we're hoping will make it. It's going to be close. One of the reasons I wanted to share this first one is because here are some of the milestones that we've already made it through. Because most people forget the Soviet Union made it to the moon first with an unmanned lander back in 1966, and in 1969 is when the United States made it with manned missions. But then after the 1970s and we all left, nobody went back. There was the Russian satellite in 2023. I'm sorry. The Russian satellite in 2023 smashes. They're a disaster. India smashes. They're a disaster. India, number 2, makes it. Then Japan, number 1, smashes. Japan, number 2, sort of makes it, but tilts over. And now we have our hopeful one for later on this afternoon. So go take a look at these things. But my question for you really, Kristen, is why are we doing this? What do you think we're doing this for?
Well, since these are private companies, it sounds a little too Avatar for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's very legitimate. I mean, because, by the way, here's a picture from Ingenuity out there, where they're Odysseus, where they've launched from while it was about to go into orbit. You're right. I mean, part of it is NASA's made a decision that it would be better to have private companies doing this, because then the U.S. government could take a step back, like they thought they were doing with SpaceX. And it turns out that SpaceX's number one person for sending stuff into space that takes up something like 90% of their launches is the U.S. government. So, one thing that gets pointed out in this article in particular is that these companies can crash into a not easier safety margins, but if NASA's spending government money and it's NASA on the side of the spacecraft and it blows up, people get angry, upset, and like, what are you doing with our tax dollars? When SpaceX blows up a bunch of rockets while they're practicing, nobody really notices that a lot of U.S. money went into that. So that's one of the reasons why this is kind of maybe, I don't know,
little sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Put us over here while we're doing something else over here.
I want it to succeed. I definitely want these private companies to get up there and succeed, but I also don't want private companies hogging up real estate on the moon or any other planet before we get some treaties in place, because this might not be something you know, Kristen, because you're not a total space geek like I am.
No, I'm not.
We have treaties for the moon, for how governments can act on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rules for private companies. Any private company that gets there can do what they want.
Yeah, that's why I said it sounds a little too Avatar for me.
Uh-huh. Oh, we're getting into Avatar later on. Don't worry. We got another one. But first, how's your car doing? Do you need, maybe you could just be riding a bicycle instead?
Oh, yeah. Well, I could walk to work, actually, if I wanted. I could go zero emissions.
There you go. That'd be awesome. Man, I used to ride a bicycle, traditional pedal-powered bicycle to work back and forth when I worked about 5 miles from the house, and I would ride a few times a week on there. But Turn, which is a big e-bike company, if you haven't heard of them, they do a lot of these larger bikes that are meant for road work, for carrying cargo, for going across country and stuff. And they have this new e-bike, this one right here in the picture, that can carry a couple 100 pounds and go 200 miles almost of range going across. And so this would be a really great resource for most people. You can see it. It's a kind of a cross between a bicycle and a motorcycle. It's not quite a motorcycle, so you don't need a license for it, but it's a little bit bigger than a bicycle kind of thing. Would you ride one of these?
Probably not. Well, I saw the price tag on that.
Oh, I wasn't going to mention the price tag because I
giving you one for free, Bob? Because it's a $7,000 bicycle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ignore in case my wife watches this. This would be an awesome thing to have, and don't worry about the price.
I'm going to call your wife and don't let Bob buy his new bike.
Yeah, don't let me buy this bike. But one of the really nice pieces about this is you can see in this picture, you can't tell where the battery is really. I mean, you can tell because there's a big chunky piece right there, but it's not like you have a secondary battery on the side as you've seen in some e-bikes. If you've done some of those electric assist bikes, they'll have a long lithium battery right along one of the poles that can actually get into danger sometimes if you're going off-roading, which is how they have solved this problem. Those other bikes are great for on the road, but this is for off-road also. Full towing, for all the other stuff. Like I said, it's
well, the design is nice, but I know $7,000 bicycle is a little $6,500's
a little bit expensive for it. I agree.
That's a new bathroom, Bob. That's all I got.
Oh man. Oh man. But yeah, I really want this sort of thing to take off, because especially here in South Florida, where you can ride a bike almost all year long, especially if you've got the right weather gear on. And most people are not going to be going, 200 miles, that's almost twice as far as my original electric vehicle when I had a Nissan Leaf, and it only went 89 miles. It's twice as long as my original Leaf did. So
that's pretty cool. I like that it's, it could take potential vehicles off the road.
Yeah.
Less emissions, all that sort of business. But it doesn't seem very practical.
And see, I'm thinking it is.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's really practical. I'm thinking I got the little trailer on the back. I go up to Publix and back, go doing my shopping wherever I'm going, get to work and back. It'd be easy. It'd be great. I wouldn't want to ride it on the roads in South Florida a lot of times with
the drivers. There is the thing.
Yeah, I don't want to come downtown.
Even with the bike lane, I don't even like the bike lanes.
I'm okay with bike lanes, especially in some cities and around the house and where, farther up. But yeah, when you get closer to downtown, it's just a mess.
Oh,
yeah. We need the smart city layouts much better.
Is there rules for bike lanes anyway? Because shouldn't you be riding single file and not side by side in a bike lane?
Yes and no. If you're in the bike lane, you should be single file. You are allowed to ride next to each other in a bike lane if it is the newer bike lanes that are 6 foot wide. And also, if there's not a bike lane, you can take a full lane of traffic, whether you're a single rider or double riding. So you can just take the entire right-hand lane if you wanted to on your bike.
Well, that makes sense.
Little bit dicey some places, but look up the rules of the road, people. Yeah, and one of the things here in Broward County down here, which is a big thing for me next weekend, is it's pedestrians, bicycles, horses, and then cars as the rule of the road for who gets the right of way on everything. And we're doing a rodeo in Davie next Sunday. But there's not going to be any robots at the rodeo.
No?
Because that is still one.
No electric bulls?
No electric bulls, no robots, because that is something that they haven't been able to replace yet. But this is an interesting story, because this is a thing of companies liking hiring robots not to replace workers, but to give workers assistance so that they can do more, because they can't hire workers. Because they're trying to hire people and they don't want the jobs, or there's just not people available to take the job. And so they're ending up hiring robots that can't quite replace people, but you can have one person in charge of multiple robots, and then that job can be done. Here's an example. One of the examples of using the CNC machine to set it up as a robot. The machine takes care of 90% of the work, and then the human finishes the work at the end. I was doing that 30 years ago, 35 years ago, in a little tool and die shop that was building stuff. So Kristen, how soon do you think robots are going to be taking more of these types of jobs?
Oh, as we speak.
Okay. You've had Temmie. We've got the robot, the Temmie robot that works at the library system that goes around and helps customers. You've had that out there at Sunrise a couple times.
Well, we had it out once.
Okay.
We had it out once. The kids loved it, so we would like to have Temmie back when he gets around to it.
Email me. We'll make that happen. If anybody doesn't know, we have a robot that goes out and helps customers on the floor. It's currently at our North Regional Library up at Broward College. It's there for the next couple of weeks. If you want to check it out, if you're in South Florida, it doesn't replace a person. It just assists. It's just like, here, the librarian can have the robot take you to the books that you're looking for.
Although I have to say, sometimes Temmie's memory wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Temmie, take me here. Huh? I don't. Does not compute. Does not compute.
Yep.
Because I think too many people get in there and start playing with Temmie, and he loses some of his memory.
I'm looking for the replacement number again. Oh, productivity. Yeah. So the productivity as these robots started being added into the economy on a much bigger scale over the last year, labor productivity went from 3.6 to 4.9% increase. So that 1.1% increase in productivity, when you factor it out across an entire economy, brings a lot more a lot more efficiency to all those workers. So, especially for all the ones that we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to talk about immigration.
Well, yeah, there's that. And then, I don't know, I think that sometimes people just don't want to either move to where these jobs are. Because I saw that one of them was like in this like small town in Illinois or Indiana or one of those I states. And so who do you get? Yeah, especially when you have like rural areas where more people are moving out than in.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, that classic thing. I mean, it's still happening in the United States, and it's happening all over the planet. It's not just the United States, where you've got people who are moving to areas they want to be in, but the manufacturing may need to be someplace else. We're gonna find out. But this is the reason to bring this story up, besides of interesting tech trends, is that this is the first time in U.S. production history that this is actually, they can track and show productivity went up because of the robots without replacing people. In the past, it went up because it replaced people on assembly lines in Detroit. Now it's just they're there to assist, and it's doing. And then we've got your Avatar story again, Kristen. So Mark Zuckerberg from Meta, Facebook, Instagram, etc., half the planet's social media, it feels like, wants to read your brain so you can control your VR unit and or phone apps and or
no, thank you.
I'm always flabbergasted when these stories hit and people look at them like, this is going to be amazing. And I'm like, no. And it's not because I think it's a great tech. This is going to be great for helping people with disabilities, for helping people who are quadriplegic or paraplegic, who can't access things. And now you can just think and it will do it for you. People who can't speak, stroke victims. This is going to be a transformative technology for everyone.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree on that front.
Except that I don't want Meta to be in control of this data. I want to be in control of my brainwaves. And I just realized I forgot to put the show notes in for everybody so they can go read this and go see. And one of my rants whenever these stories come up is, here in the United States and in the EU, we do not have any laws governing this at all. And I clued you in before the show, Kristen. There is one country on the planet that has taken proactive action on this and made it so that your brainwaves are safe. You're protected. They can't just take your brainwaves and use them. You have to give them specific permission. And that's Chile.
I think we'd all be moving to Chile.
Yeah.
Got to learn some Spanish, not just brush up on my Spanish, but learn some Spanish.
And so it was in 2021, they put something into their constitution giving you the right to your own biometric data, including brainwaves. Companies, Meta, etc., sued about this, saying, hey, no, wait, we need to keep this data. And it was overruled in 2023. And so, yeah, we do have the ability to control our own private data, finally, maybe, sort of, if you live in one country on the planet.
Like you said, I think is when it comes to like, quadriplegics and people with other, disabilities.
Yeah.
It sounds great, being, because just to give them more accessibility and, everything. But what's Meta going to do with my brainwaves? I mean,
yeah. I mean, we did a story last year about how, they are using brainwaves to tell what pictures you're looking at now. They can do that on a limited basis, and it's only going to get better.
Put that with the DNA I already have into my, ancestry.
Yep.
And then they got my brainwaves. They're going to clone me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And anyone who's on the air like I am, that somebody can do your voice and do your video and all the other stuff and manipulate it. So yeah, I would go for it if there were protections. Like, I do not have any biometrics that I use at all. I've never willingly given any biometrics to anyone. No fingerprints for phones, no scans, no Face ID, no nothing. So that no company out there who has my stuff has gotten it by my permission. I don't know. I know I'm a little more paranoid than most, but that was a bummer thing to end the show on. Wow. Man, we got to come up with a better story. Next time we have to come up with the fun story at the end instead of
you're in charge of the stories.
I know.
It's all on you.
This one was just too important to pass up because I'm just like, no, this is not a good thing. People need to know about this. But it's a good thing, but it's not a good thing. But it's going to help a lot of people. But this is the story you need to go read and go talk about with your friends and family about what you think and what they think, and then send us a message back. Let us know in the show. Let us know on the poll afterwards what you think about this. Thank you for being here, Miss Kristen.
Oh, you're welcome, Bob. Anytime.
Thanks for leading off Creation Station month plus, however we're going to call this now. And if there is a librarian or library you would like to see featured on the show, reach out, creationstation@broward.org. Remember, you can subscribe to get this podcast anywhere you want or watch us live at 4 o'clock every Thursday. Have a great time, everybody.
Bye, Bob.